Okay, Richard Brown, welcome to 10-6 Life Factors. We appreciate you being here.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Okay, so I just want to learn more about your production platform. We noticed that you have a lot of movies or short films that are posted to YouTube, but we also observed that it's through Talk Up TV. Can you tell us about that? How did you come about connecting with that? Do you own it? We know that you own
Okay. All right. Talk Up TV, it's somebody separate. That's somebody that we're affiliated with, but it has nothing to do with what we're doing over here at Richard Brown Films. Because as you know, a lot of persons in Jamaica, they do similar stuff like what we do in terms of making films. But I would summarize and guess that, and it's not, even though I am saying it, but it's not from my own words, I've heard people say it, that we are leading in what we're doing in terms of the amount of content that we put out, the quality of content that we put out. I guess we would say, the number one in what we're doing. Everybody else, either they come after us or it's like it's similar to what we do, but not exactly. But basically, the question that you ask as it pertains to a little bit about what we're doing and about Richard Brown Films.
Right.
What we do is we create local films with local people in terms of telling stories that a lot of Jamaicans can relate to, or even people of Caribbean descent can relate to, as it pertains to the cultural aspect of Jamaica. Like, for example, we did a movie about child support. You know, that's a big thing in Jamaica.
Right.
We do a film called Mali about the whole Mali thing in schools and stuff. So we always try to touch on topics that people can learn from and things that are happening around the society. So with that, a lot of people who are Jamaican, as I say, Caribbean descent, can relate to what we do.
Yes, very much so. It is relatable, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so very much interested in what you do. So, are you saying then that the reason why I'm starting with the Talk Up TV is because that's the site for some reason, that's the name. So, are they part of like a distribution format? Are they part?
No, no,
is it?
it's separate, man. They just Talk Up TV. I know the guy that runs the channel. He's cousin with Fire that I started out with that
Okay.
operate Jamiewood. So they're all separate channels. But probably that's the one that you're more familiar with. I don't know.
So it seems then, and I think I get it. I remember I saw, I don't know if it's you or someone else that's saying it's okay to copy and distribute it elsewhere. So it seems as if this what do we call it, channel then is just simply sharing your link of your movies, and maybe that's why where most people are seeing it. But that maybe could be
because what we do, because
go ahead.
yeah, for example, because I know him and he knows me, from time to time he might ask me to share things on my community, and then I might share stuff on my community for him, so people can actually see it. So it's not a case where they distribute anything for anybody or anything. They just create their own content, and it's just that how YouTube is set up on the algorithm, because we do similar stuff. You might watch a Richard Brown Films and then you see other people who does a similar thing, their thing pop up.
Yes.
Right.
So you have your own channel on YouTube then. You have your own channel on YouTube.
Yeah, man, it's Richard Brown Films, and we are 100 and almost 100 and 140, 344,000 subscribers on our channel.
Are you concerned then? And so I want to get into the production aspect, but I'm just going to talk about just the fact that you're doing such a great job with this. Are you concerned that there's so many that are copying and actually making money off your productions then? Because this is what is happening.
All right, when I say copying, I mean not copying the content. I mean just the whole idea of the whole idea of making films and and the whole way of going about it. But it's not a sense that they take our content and reuse it or post it somewhere else. It's not like that. As it pertains to that now, I definitely know YouTube has their own thing. So if
Yes.
persons really with your content, then you can copyright strike them or stuff like that. So I'm not worried about that aspect. For me personally, I would love to see a lot more Jamaicans do what I do. In that
Okay.
sense, you will find a flood in the market, like just like what happened in Nollywood. A lot more Africans start doing movies, and then it just forced the rest of the world to really accept it. So I find that if the same thing happened in Jamaica, then it would be the same thing. More people will gravitate to it, and it will probably become mainstream. So that's the objective of what I want to see. But in terms of what we're doing and the amount of work that we're doing, I know with that it is going to come a day when we go mainstream. It is inevitable that will happen.
And I 100% agree what with the quality and the content and just the naturalness of, I mean, you really do find some talents there. I don't even know if those people recognize how talented they are, and in terms of their naturalness, the naturality of it. And I do believe that you will go mainstream, and that's one of the reasons why I want to talk to you, because I'm like, okay, I did talk to Richard Brown before he became this, famous, producer, right? So it will happen. I really do believe that it will happen. So tell me how you started. Was this something, a concept like, in school, you were taught production and design, or it's just something, a natural this natural ability to tell stories?
Well, the funny thing about it, and as it pertains to me and other persons who have come under my wing, is that I started from I think probably around 14, because my mom was a video person. So she was taught by a community-based organization, a non-profit organization here in Jamaica called the Petersfield Sports and Community Club. She was taught in the early 90s in video production. So I have always been one of the child that always follow behind her. She go film something, me I hold the card, me I bring the light. I have always been following behind her with the camera. So it was inevitable that when I was ready to graduate school, she just said, you know what, I think you should do a course with the community group. So that's where I started. I started doing a course with them. I spent a couple of years filming with them, and then afterwards I spent a few years working for a company in Negril doing weddings. So I actually started doing mostly weddings and covering events and stuff for a company in Negril in terms of working at the hotel doing weddings and stuff. And from then, late 90s, early 2000s, my mom decided that, we should start our own company. So we actually start our own thing and we start working for our own self. And then I think was what, 12 years ago or 15 years ago, I met Fire. And we just click, and I used to shoot music video for him and stuff, and we click. And he said to me, because I did a little short skit. That time it was big camera and shoulder and those big cassettes. I did a little short film, and he saw the short film that I did with my little brother and my other family members. And he said, if you can do this, that means you must can do movie. So he said to me, say, all right, let's write a script. So he came back and forth from where he lived in Negril to where I live in Petersfield, which is probably a 45 minutes drive, almost every day, sitting just trying to get a script together. And we spent 1 year doing that, and it just never materialized as it pertains to making the movie. But we wrote the script, and he linked our next girl to film it, but she couldn't manage it. So eventually, we link up back, and we just did Carelessness and One by One. And from we do those two movies, we try to go community and show it and charge people to watch it and put it on DVD. But to be honest, at that time, YouTube wasn't where it was now. So it was a difficulty just to go and sell the movies and try to get it organized and show it. It was just too much work and not enough money. So we said, all right, let's take a break. And we took a break for a long while, maybe 8 years or something. We took a break, and then we took a break because we said, all right, let's try see if we can find people who will be willing to invest in what we're doing and push it forward. So we took a break. I continued doing my weddings and stuff, and then I met Akeem Lawrence at a wedding. He was doing video, and we were talking, and he was saying, boy, a long time I hear about you, you know, because most of the persons who were around me that time, I taught them to do photography, and they learned from me or either my mother. So he was always hearing about me and how I boss everybody. You know what I mean? I said, so we talk, and he said, you know, so me do YouTube, and I say, I lie. And he said, yeah, man, me do YouTube, and he showed me a little receipt, say, you know, this is what I collect from YouTube. And I say, I lie, me never know say YouTube I pay money.
Yeah.
And I say, yeah, man, YouTube I pay. That was in 2019. Yeah. I say, all right. So I say, all right, me link fire. So I link back fire. I say, fire, you know, say, YouTube I pay out some incentive for persons to create content and put on YouTube.
Right.
So we decided that we'd start back doing some little 3-minute, 4-minute stuff. And we realized that people love those little short skits, and people start gravitate to it, and people always just say, you don't want to see longer stuff. So we decided that, we had those 2 movies that we did from back in the days on DVD. So we took them off the DVD and put them on YouTube, and realized how people love those long movies. And even though we put it on YouTube, we still was making those short ones because we couldn't afford to actually do a full-length movie.
Mm-hmm.
So we met this guy who saw the short one. We met him online. He's from Florida. And him said, boy, you know, me drive truck. And while I'm driving truck, all I sit and watch is just those little short stuff you watch for hours, rewatch. I would love to see you guys make a full-length one. So I said to him that, boy, reason why we don't make the full-length one, because it really take money. So I'm saying, all right, don't worry yourself. So I'm send me some money and say, yo, do some work, man. And from then we start doing one called Good Man. And from we did Good Man, we just keep on doing those 35, 40 minutes. And we just came up with a formula as it pertains to not spending a lot of money, but getting the work done.
Right.
And we just continue from there, getting the work done. And then from there, the channel just continue to grow, and we make revenue from just putting out content and just continue to learn and do movies. And one of the things that from then till now, we find out that, you know, for me personally, I find out that whatever I make from YouTube, I just ensure that every person who are involved in these films get something every month, and we just keep on pushing it. But it's not a case that we have persons behind us financing what we're doing. Everything is out of pocket.
And
yeah, yeah, go ahead.
I can imagine that, and this is how it's going to grow, because it's clearly you can see that your actors believe in the project, and they're there working with you, because they're some of the people who keep reappearing in most of your films. Yes.
Yeah, man, definitely. You have some persons who really are done for the cause, and they have a sense of believing in what I am doing.
Yeah.
There are persons who are core actors and actresses who are there, and then you will find others who come, but at the end of the day, it's not so much about sticking around and waiting for the thing to reach the fullest potential. You have some who just come because, okay, we can collect one money a month time, and or we can just have one place to go and stay until we move on to something else. You know, but you have those who really believe what we're doing, and not only actors and actresses who believe in what we're doing. You have people who are out there who see us, believe in what we're doing, and want to see it grow. But at the end of the day, it's just because I don't know if I can't speak about other cultures, that I can tell you about Jamaican culture is that I find we don't support our own that much. Meaning that I might come online and say, all right, I want a new camera, I want to invest more in what I am doing, but I need help from those who are watching. And I probably can come on one hand who are the ones who really call me and say, Richie, so me send $100 for you, or you buy a camera, helped by it. You know what I say?
Mhm.
Right, yeah.
So, but you know what? On that point, I have heard and I've seen where people do in Jamaica do get a lot of support from in the diaspora in the US,
All
Canada.
right.
Some
Let's
of
put it
them
like,
do. They but I do understand what you're saying. Maybe because the thing is, you know, Richard, is it possible that they see that they may think that you're that massive, that you're big, that maybe you're not
I don't think
advocating
so, you
on
know.
yourself?
All right, you know what? From personal experience and seeing what goes on online,
Uh-huh.
most persons who invest in purses in Jamaica, I'm going to tell you, if them see you live in a old broke down house and that suffer, or there's some controversy surrounding you as an individual, they will quick to support what you're doing. But if they just see it as something of like what we're doing as something positive, and
Right.
in that light, not a lot of people will support it because there's no controversy surrounding with what we're doing. That's what I feel. I don't, maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I feel.
Well, I am going to accept your perception of it because you are in the field, you see what is happening, you're on the ground in Jamaica, you see what is happening. And so we need probably to have, well, likely to have a conversation around that, about funding. It's not just in terms of diaspora, but also the government, because you're doing such a big service to Jamaica, cultural service. You're considered to be a cultural ambassador in a sense, promoting our culture because I mean, what we're seeing, I mean, you're giving us an insight into the native aspect of our culture, the family life, the day-to-day dynamics, and that is so rich and interesting, which many may not even have privy to, especially those who have left Jamaica for so many years and rely on.
You are so correct about that, because that's
Yeah.
a sentiment that I've gotten from a lot of Jamaicans who say, I'm going through this in America, and this that what you're doing brings me back home.
Yes.
So I do agree with what you're saying. And as to backtrack to what you just said, it pertains to government need to, or even government plus private sector probably need, a corporate need
Yes.
to jump on board. But the problem with that, I think for me personally, and as I say, when I'm speaking from a personal perspective, is
Mhm.
that when it comes to getting anything done in Jamaica, part of the problem is you have to go through too much bells and whistles. And for me personally, I don't have the patience. For example, if I'm going to write to a company and it is going to take 6 months for them to get back to me, and I'm going to
Right.
have to provide this and provide that, I I don't have the patience for that. And I think that's one of the reasons why we have gotten so much film done, because I don't wait on anything to do movies. I just get
Right.
up this morning and say to people, say, yo, when you ready? All right, you, this is what you're going to do. And me just start roll. Me not waste no time. That's how I get things done. And I find out that for me personally, that's one of my, probably it's a bad thing that I don't have the patience to sit and wait for people to decide if they want to help us. I just do it.
Well, I'm looking at it as you're a self-starter. You want to hit the ground running. You don't want to sit around, and because that's when procrastination set in. If you have to wait, for example, I'm surprised that for the Jamaica cultural development, like people like Babsy Graves, the minister who is in charge of that, they're not doing more showcasing of movies. They're doing more showcasing of festival song, but not movies. And that would be a segment that is needed. And so I would look at you as more of a social entrepreneur. You have the ideas, you have the thoughts, you just want to keep going. You don't want to wait for funding or something that may never come, and slow down that artistic ability that you have. Because I'm thinking you're working on that energy, and once that energy comes, you don't want to stop. You just want to keep going. Yes.
Yeah, that too. And also a lot of persons view social media different from how I view it. How I view social media is a platform that you have to always be feeding it. It's not something that you can post this month and you wait 3 months to post again. You
Right.
have to be active. And that's part of the reason why we've been creating so much content. We have to be active. If there was another platform that we could have submit stuff to for every month or every 2 months, then we could have moved a little bit slower. in terms of posting content, and then whatever revenue we get, we just make it work. But with social media, we can't afford to do that. We have to post. And even and I'm listening while you're talking, even to backtrack to Babsy Grange and the social development people that does stuff like those.
Right.
They do have stuff, but as I say, the bells and whistles, I don't deal with bells and whistles that you have to jump through. Like, for example, you have a company called JAFTA that does funding, but it's just the process that you have to go through. I don't want to sit and wait on anybody.
Right.
And even JCDs who have their little film festival, and I think other companies who have film festival, but as I say, I've entered one already, and I got I think Viewers Choice Award. But the problem with that, I think, and as I say, everything that I say, it's personal perspective.
Right.
I think those type of festivals are more beneficial to the persons who are actually putting it on, meaning that they will get a whole heap of funding from all these sponsors, Air Jamaica, this, that. But when you look on for a person who win, what do they receive? The only thing that they receive is a trophy, and that's it. I want to see a person win, and you go up on national TV, you publicizing the paper.
Exactly.
You probably say, you know what, let's give you some more funding to do what you are doing to go internationally. I want to see stuff like those. So for me personally, I'm not interested in entering film festival here in Jamaica. I don't want to be a naysayer in nothing that I'm saying. It's just that how I look. I just want to see things happen. That's what I want to see. Just that.
And that's fair enough. So let's get to the script writing. I'm thinking the way that, based on just, this interaction with you, your mind flows in such, it's always moving. So tell me about the script writing. Because I'm thinking there are times when I can see people maybe they are ad-libbing, they're just putting in stuff in there. I'm not, you can correct me. But it works. It works. I mean, and even the mannerism and just the gestures and all those things, it is so authentic. So tell me about script writing, because I'm not seeing you sitting in front of a computer typing away. I'm thinking you're doing stuff on the spot.
All right. What I do is for most of the past 2 years of doing YouTube, 3 years now, 2 years before, I was mostly focusing on doing the directing and the filming aspect. Fire was always the person who was doing all the writing. So the fact that I was always in the background, I learned a lot in terms of how to develop the story and what I want to get across in each story. So, for example, if I get up today and I'm going to make a movie, and I always, the night before or 2 days before I sit, I think about what I want to do. What kind of message I want to send? What's the end result I want? Who are the persons who are going to play the characters? So I think about everything before I start filming. Once I think about what I'm going to film, then I just start. Once I start, then everything just comes together in my head. And people always wonder, how do you do it? But it's like I'm seeing everything come together before it happens. So when I start with the story, and then and the funny thing about how I do stories, I might start with the middle of the story. It's not even the beginning or the end, just the middle. And once I start with a part of the story in the middle, then I might go back to the end and do part in the end, and then go back to the beginning. So, but everything just come together in my head. A lot of times, even persons who are acting don't even understand the story until the story is edited and put together.
Right.
Tell me, so that's how the whole creative process come together.
So you are doing the editing. Give us because you're saying I think I understand the script writing part. It can be very quick, but I'm thinking the editing aspect probably is the longest. Yes, editing, or is it just the shooting part of it?
Well, the filming aspect is always going to be the longest, but the editing can take 2 to 3 days, but the shooting is going to be a little bit longer. I do most of the editing, or I don't know if you watch the films, you would have seen Alton. They call him Big Boy. He does some of the filming, he does some of the editing. So it's between me and him with the filming and the editing.
Okay.
Right.
And at this point, do we have a studio, or everything just happening from your living room?
Well, I personally rent an apartment to have everybody there, because what I do is, as I tell you, I do my stuff a little bit different from, I think me and Fire is the only two persons who do movie like how we do it,
Mhm.
based on in terms of renting an apartment, having people staying there, provide food for the month, and
Okay.
just ensure that we get things done. So I have an apartment close to my house that I just drive to every day and film. So
Mhm.
that's how we do. But hopefully the vision for the future is that we want to acquire a piece of land and really actually build a studio.
That
That's the whole
sounds like
idea.
that's a great idea, especially with the concept of just have everybody staying under the same roof. It's more controlled that way. And
Yeah,
so,
man, yeah, man.
you're moving. I mean, I think the last one I'm watching was the no, no, you have to forgive me for the names of them because I'm trying to remember all of the names. But it's a foreigner one where you're traveling all over Jamaica, showing all these beautiful sights with this
Oh,
um
Jamaica holiday.
where I think it's this one where this man comes from
Jamaica
overseas
holiday. Jamaica holiday.
and he was he's traveling from different sites and meeting all these women, but there's one woman he's very interested in that he actually met. Is that what it's called, Jamaica Holiday?
Yeah, man. That and the funny thing about that project, it was the fact that we traveled all over Jamaica to really get
Yeah.
it done. That project was funded by a guy that has a recording company in the US called um Reggae Vibes Radio. They
Mhm.
actually fund the project. So it was we had a little budget going, so we were able to travel all over and really get it done.
Did this there was a gentleman in there that he probably was he was the one in that was introducing this man coming from foreign. Was he the producer of that? Did any of those
Oh, he
production
was the artist
or
because
the artist? Okay.
yeah, it was coming from them because they have a music company. So what they actually wanted to do was promote the song.
Yes.
So putting it in the movie would have been a good opportunity for people to actually see it. So that's what it came through. Yeah. So he was a part of it.
And it worked well. So in terms of the actresses now, actors and actresses, how do you find them? Are these family members? I mean, because I'm thinking you want to keep things
Um,
low cost, or people
all right,
leaving from Kingston.
Alton is my family. Alton is my cousin. I brought him up in the whole video aspect
Okay.
of things.
Uh-huh.
Say hi.
Hello. That's your
All right.
daughter.
So yeah, that's my daughter.
Mhm.
Yeah. So most of the persons actually, funny thing, they reach out to me. They watch the movie, they like what we're doing, and they just reach out to me and say, you know what, I want to be a part of what you're doing. So that's how it works. People normally reach out to me. Sometimes, yeah, most of the time people reach out to me. Yeah.
Are there anybody that just simply volunteer their time because they said, you know what, I believe in what you do. I don't want any money. I just want to be part of this. It just seems like to me, it seemed like just a fabulous thing just to be part of it. So are there people like that?
I think the only person that, to be honest, that I use in the movie that I I would consider him voluntary because he has a YouTube channel, so he used some of my actresses, and I don't have to worry about him. He just be a part of what I am doing. But everybody else, I have to actually pay them. And to be honest, I don't feel any way about persons not really volunteering their time because, to be honest, Jamaica is at a hard place, and I
Yes.
definitely know people with money. So with that, and for me personally, I do receive revenue from the movies that I post on YouTube. So it's fair enough for me to ensure that whatever I make, I use it to actually fund what I'm doing in terms of paying these persons, providing food and providing accommodation. So it's not perfect because I would, for personally, I would have loved to really ensure that these persons get more money. But as I always tell them, I pay what I can afford to.
Right. I
Yeah.
noticed, somebody comment, we're talking to other people about it and they said they like the content because it's so clean. They can watch it with their family members. So most of your films are not explicit in not so much explicit in any way. Is this deliberate?
It's deliberate to some extent. And the reason why I say that is that the first two movies that we made back in 10, 12 years ago, they're two different type of movies. One is a comedy and one was kind of a little bit violent. And the feedback that I got from them both, I like the feedback I got from the comedy. And from that point on, personally, I said, you know what? I think I have a responsibility in the content and the messages that I put out. And I realized that a lot of kids are watching what we do. Even adults that I meet along the way, they say, you know what? My son introduced me to the channel, you know. So I feel like I personally have a responsibility. And not only that, but YouTube do have a guideline. So I always try to make sure whatever I do, I stay in that lane. And also the responsibility that I have to ensure that the messages that I send out are positive messages. Maybe at some point in time, because it's a creative field. So maybe at some point in time, if I, for example, I do get to go mainstream like a Netflix or something, I would at least love to try something in terms of with a little more violence or a little more sexual content. But that's not my main focus though. I want to ensure that my content, majority of my content that I put out has a strong family value.
There's a large audience here that are, Jamaicans tend to be very conservative. So you may miss out on that if it goes into this area. So I'm just telling you, from the little
no, personally for YouTube, no. Like for YouTube and for my as I would say, probably 90% of what I want to create are family oriented stuff. Even if I do go mainstream, that's something that I am going to be very conscious of. I want to keep it that way because for me personally, I don't feel like there's a lot of persons out there in the world that really wants to send good family values. So for me personally, that's what I want to do.
And congrats. I know you have to run, but I still have one more question that I want to ask you.
No problem.
So tell us about the equipment, from the most basic equipment to the most advanced equipment that you have.
In terms of what we have or what we want. In terms of what we have or what we want.
What you have. And then you can share what you want. So just in case anybody's watching. What you have.
All right. I do have one. For presently right now, I do have one camera that I mainly use. I have another one, but I sent it to get repaired in the US. It is taking months for it to get repaired, so I'm not 100% sure of that one. I do have two cameras that are more cinema camera, like a Blackmagic, two Blackmagics. I do need lens for it, but I do have two Blackmagics, but they can't really film what I am doing on YouTube. And the reason why is that there are more production camera. If I'm going to do something for like a Netflix or for the TV station here, then I would probably use those two cameras because they're not run and gun. They're cameras that you have to spend a little more time with and stuff. So I do have those two, but for my main camera that I use for creating stuff on YouTube is one. I do need more. And so it's just one camera, main camera. I do need some lights too.
Is there any particular brand?
As I said earlier, well, yeah, Sony have some new cinema camera. They're pretty expensive. They're called Sony FX3. They're expensive, but for me personally, as I say, I use what I have. If it was a phone, I would not use a phone. So I use what I have. But as it pertains to, yeah, I do. And funny thing about the drone and even the laptop that I'm doing the live on now, they're all donated. They were donated by the same person. And even the camera that I have now using, they were donated by a lady in New York. She saw what we were doing and she said, you know what? My daughter does filmmaking here in the US and I want to support what you guys are doing. So she just sent me a drone, sent me a laptop and a camera.
Well, shout out to that woman in New York because you need more. And the reason why I'm asking the name, because sometimes too, when people want to know the name of the different equipments that you use, so that, you know, you'd be surprised. People sponsor equipment. These you know, businesses, they do sponsor equipment as well. So when you put it out there, you never know, somebody may reach out and say, okay, we have one we want to give to you, that type of thing. So that's why I'm asking.
Right.
Richard, this has been so very much interesting, and I thank you for sharing. Before we go though, do you have any specific, you know, there's so much I could ask you. This conversation could go on and on, but is there anything in particular that I may have missed that, you know, you want to share with us?
All right. At the end, I probably want to pick up a few persons who have really helped us to reach thus far. But apart from that, one of the main thing is that persons have to understand, especially of Jamaican descent, they have to understand where Jamaica is at this point as it pertains to crime and violence and education and all the other social problems that we have in Jamaica. And for Jamaica to reach to its fullest potential and to where it is, where it can go, we have to have persons who want to see Jamaica get better, and not just say they want to see Jamaica get better, but help. And when I say help, I mean persons like myself, and it doesn't have to be me, just anybody in particular in Jamaica that is making a difference and trying to do it on their own. Help them. You know what I say? Reach out to them. If you can come up, find 10 people that you can say, all right, let me hunt for 10 people who are willing to give $500 each and just put something together and just help. So that's basically how I think Jamaica can move forward. We can't really sit around and wait for government to do nothing. We have to try to come together. And as I said, people who are abroad and want to come home and want to see Jamaica get better, you have to do your part, which is helping. Find some people who want to get help and help them directly. And for me personally, I say, don't go through any organization and say, all right, boy, I want to help Richard Brown Films. Let me find one organization and send them some money. It might not reach Richard Brown Films.
Right.
So
I've
help
heard
if you can. Yeah, man, help if you can. And once you help, and you will just see changes happen once you help. Because I personally can tell you, I have helped a lot of persons and I've seen the blessing come back to me. So
yes,
help if you can. And finally, I want to say thanks to, like, as I said, my mother who was instrumental in making me do video. She has passed away, you know, Diana Muir Campbell. Yeah, man. So may her soul rest in peace. And also the person who trained her and trained me has passed too, Mr. Matthias Brown of Petersfield Sports and Community Club. Those two persons have been instrumental in making me the person who I am and helping me to reach thus far. And also, me can't forget Fire, because he is one of those persons who first approached me to say, my boy, make we do movie. So, you know, with that, we have to say big up to those three persons who really played a big role. And Akin Lawrence too, you know, big up yourself, yeah. So those persons and the actress and the actresses them were did it with me day to day, like Candy, Alton, you know me I say Amanda and all the others who, you know, pitch in, you know me I say thanks to them too, because I'm public. You know me I say those persons who have me back and I ensure say me get things done on a daily basis.
Big up to everybody. I want you to repeat the name because you said it very fast. The name of the community club. You said it fast, so can you repeat it slowly? So
yes.
What is the name of it?
It is the Petersfield Sports and Community Club. It's based right in my little community here. And I think they changed one of the names.
Negril or Anova? Where?
Petersfield.
Okay.
A little bit out of Sab. Yeah, a little bit out of Sab. It's a community-based group that, and not only me, they really help. They help a whole lot of other people. Some they help gone to college, you know, go study doctor.
Yeah.
Whole heap of thing. They have done a wonderful job. Now that Mr. Brown has passed away, I don't know if they're going to be as active as how they used to be, but nonetheless, they have done.
Who's the person who's actually running it now?
It's Miss Fenton. I think she is the person who is running it now, but it's a pity that me personally don't have the time again, because this YouTube thing take up all of my time and I have no time.
I can imagine. I can imagine. Well, hopefully I get a chance to speak to Miss Fenton, and you know, it's we have to big up any community club, because we know those civic organizations are what's helping the youth in the community. And for you to be a graduate of that and actually reach this point, I hope. But you know, one of the things I'd say, I've seen people premiere their movies. Do you do premieres? I mean, come on, you may think that your thing is low key, but you're doing some good things, Richard. You can do premieres.
I've tried it once. I don't know. Maybe I should try it again. I tried it on YouTube where I did a premiere on YouTube where
and do fundraising and add a fundraising link to
yeah,
it.
but you know,
That's
funny enough, as you mentioned that, though, so there's a lot of things that I think I want to do for the new coming year as it pertains to trying some different stuff and see how we can move forward. I mean, there are a lot of things that I plan to do this new year. And I mean, as you mentioned, there are persons who really approach me and want to do something as it pertains to even investing what I am doing. But as it pertains to time, it's just time. We're just waiting and see, because a lot of times some people talk and sometimes it's just that talk. So in the new year, let's just watch and see what can happen. And I have a gut feeling that some great things are going to happen for the new year.
I do believe so. I really do believe so. And I support you 100%. Quickly, which is your top favorite full length? Because you have movies running for an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes, and then you have 35 minutes, you have 15 minutes. So which is the top full length feature, and which is the shorts that you rated number one?
That's a hard one, because I've done so. If I'm going to speak of as it pertains to views, then I do have videos on my channel that almost reach 1 million that I can say, yeah, but it's kind of hard to really say which are my favorite, because I don't know. But if I might say Carelessness, that's the first one we did. It took over a month to film, so we had fun doing those. Like Carelessness, we had a lot of fun doing it. And I mean, until today's date, people still talk about those films, and we did them a long time ago. So
right,
if I might say between Carelessness and Friend in Need, those are my two top films. And yeah, those are my two top films: Carelessness and Friend in Need.
Good. Thank you, Richard Brown of Richard Brown Films. He's doing some great things, guy. Thank you for sharing with me. Just I imagine it, this authentic Jamaican man, just laid back, and it's just, you know, the artistry, just the greatness of what you do, and we appreciate it. And thank you for shouting out to your you know, civic organization that helped you in the very beginning. And God bless your mom's soul for just, you know, bringing all this talent to us. And I'm one of your biggest supporter, and I will always remember you. Hope you remember me, that when something great is happening, you reach out to me so we can talk about it. Okay.
All right. Sound good, man. It's a pleasure. And big up yourself. All right.
All right, Richard. So I'm just gonna end now. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, man.